Discussing about our chapter number 1, yeah, nature, scope and objective of audit. अभी पहले हम देखेंगे कि स्टैंडर्ड सेटिंग प्रोसेस में रोल ऑफ IAASB, दैट इज़ योर इंटरनेशनल, व्हाट इज़ इट? इट इज़ योर इंटरनेशनल ऑडिटिंग एंड अश्योरेंस standard board. How was it set up and what is the role of this international auditing and assurance standard board? तो पहले 1977 में क्या हुआ था? International Federation of Accountants was set up to bring harmony in the profession of accounts on an international scale. यही मिशन परस्यू करने के लिए IFAC बोर्ड ने IAASB को एस्टैब्लिश किया, क्यों? ताकि वो IAA, दैट इज इंटरनेशनल ऑडिटिंग एंड अश्योरेंस स्टैंडर्ड बोर्ड, ताकि वो डेवलप एंड इशू कर पाए इन द पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट एंड अंडर इट्स ओन अथॉरिटी हाई क्वालिटी ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स फॉर यूज अराउंड द वर्ल्ड. तो हाई क्वालिटी ऑडिटिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स फॉर यूज अराउंड द वर्ल्ड डेवलप और इशू करने के लिए IFAC ने IAASB को एस्टैब्लिश किया था. IFAC बोर्ड जो थे डिटरमाइन थे कि दैट डेसिग्नेशन ऑफ IAASB, जो IAASB को हमने बनाया, वो एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल बॉडी है अंडर इट्स ओन अथॉरिटी एंड विद इन इट्स स्टेटेड टर्म्स ऑफ रेफरेंस बेस्ट सर्व्स पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट इन अचीविंग दिस एस्पेक्ट ऑफ इट्स मिशन. तो IAASB के फंक्शंस जो है वो इंडिपेंडेंट है एज एन इंडिपेंडेंट स्टैंडर्ड सेटिंग बॉडी अंडर द ऑस्पाइसेस ऑफ द IFAC. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या है IAASB? टू सर्व द पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट, उनको पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट को सर्व करना है. ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ IAASB टू सर्व द पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट बाय सेटिंग हाई क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड एंड बाय फैसिलिटेटिंग द कन्वर्जेंस ऑफ इंटरनेशनल एंड national standards, thereby enhancing the quality and uniformity of practice throughout the world and strengthening public confidence in the global auditing and assurance profession. So this is the objective of IAASB. What is the objective? To serve the public interest by setting high quality auditing standards and by facilitating the convergence of international and national standards, thereby enhancing the quality and uniformity of practice throughout the world and strengthening public confidence in the global auditing and assurance profession. The IAASB achieves the objective by establishing high quality auditing standards and guidance, right? IASB achieves this objective by establishing high quality auditing standards and guidance for financial statements audits that are generally accepted and recognized by investors, auditors, governments, banking regulations, security regulators and other key stakeholders across the world. And by next, ये कैसे अचीव करते हैं ऑब्जेक्टिव? एस्टैब्लिशिंग हाई क्वालिटी एंड ऑडिट स्टैंडर्ड्स एंड गाइडेंस फॉर अदर टाइप ऑफ अश्योरेंस सर्विसेज और बोथ फाइनेंशियल एंड नॉन फाइनेंशियल मैटर्स, for assuring for other types of assurance services on both financial and non-financial matter, and for other related services and for quality control covering the scope of services addressed by the IAASB. तो इस तरह से IAASB अचीव करता है the objective, okay? Its objective to set high quality audit standards and by facilitating the convergence of international and national standards, thereby enhancing the quality and uniformity of practice throughout the world and strengthening the public confidence in the global auditing and assurance professions. ये objective कैसे achieve करेंगे? Again a quick revision. Establishing high quality standards and guidance for financial statement audit that are generally accepted and recognized by investors, auditors, governments, banking regulators, security regulators and other stakeholders across the world. For the other types of assurance services on both financial and non-financial matters, for other related services, for quality control covering the scope of sources addressed by IAASB, and publishing other pronouncements on auditing and assurance matters, thereby advancing public undertaking of roles and responsibilities of professional auditors and assurance service providers. अब ये AASB जो है ऑडिटिंग एंड अश्योरेंस बोर्ड, इसका रोल क्या होता है? ICI जो है मेंबर है ऑफ IFAC एंड इज committed to work towards the implementation of guidelines issued by IFAC. ICI ने constitute किया APC in 1982. Is your auditing Practice Committee. APC is Auditing Practice Committee 1982. APC का function क्या था? The main function of APC is to review the existing auditing practices in India and to develop statements on standard auditing practices. Very important, statement develop करना on standard auditing practices so that they may be issued by ICI. तो standard auditing practices होते क्या है? While formulating SAPs in India, APC gives due consideration to the international auditing guidelines issued by IAPC, and they try to integrate them to the extent possible in the light of the conditions and practices prevailing in India. While formulating SAPs, APC, that is your Auditing Practices Committee, takes into consideration the applicable laws, customs, usages and business environment in India. In July 2002 को क्या हुआ? APC को convert किया गया into AASB by ICAI to be in line with the international trend. A significant step has been taken aimed at bringing in the desired transparency in the working of AASB through participation of representatives of various segments of society and interest groups such as regulators, industries and academies. The nomenclature of SAPs, that is your Standard Auditing Practices, has now been changed to AAS, that is your Auditing and Assurance Standards. A major development in the field of auditing has been the issuance of revised or redrafted international standards on auditing pursuant to a clarity project of IAASB. The objective of this project is to improve the clarity of international standards on auditing. IAASB aims to set high quality standard auditing and assurance standards that are understandable, clear and capable of consistent application, thereby serving to enhance the quality and uniformity of the practice worldwide. Also laid out a strategy to match up the IASB clarity project. The board issued several revised and new standards, so and so. So one small reading is more than enough. Next, this is important: renaming, renumbering and categorization of auditing and assurance standards. Auditing and assurance standards are now renamed based on the type of assurance provided by the engagement undertaken by a member. जैसे कि SAs apply in the audit of historical financial information, apply in the review of the historical financial, apply in the assurance engagement dealing with subject matters other than historical financial information. SRS apply to engagement to apply agreed upon procedures to information and other related service engagements such as compilation of engagement. Collectively they are known as engagement standards. SQC जो है, standards on quality control, are to be applied for all services covered by the engagement standard. These standards will apply whenever an independent audit is carried out, that is independent examination of financial information of an entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of size or legal form. Such an examination was conducted with a view to express an opinion देयर ओन. तो ये स्टैंडर्ड्स तो अप्लाई करेंगे, भले वो प्रॉफिट हो, नहीं हो, लीगल हो, नहीं हो, साइज हो, इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ साइज और लीगल फॉर्म, ये स्टैंडर्ड्स उन सभी को अप्लाई करेंगे. सो व्हाइल डिस्चार्जिंग देयर एसेस फंक्शन, इट विल बी द ड्यूटी ऑफ द मेंबर्स ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूट टू एंश्योर दैट standards are followed in the audit of the financial statements covered by their audit reports. If for any reason a member has not been able to perform an audit in accordance with standard, his report should draw attention to material departures therefrom. Auditors will be expected to follow standards in the audits commencing on or after the date specified in the statement. Remember, all standards are mandatory. Very important. Remember, all standards are mandatory from the date mentioned therein, and it is obligatory upon members of institute to adhere to these where an audit is carried out. तो क्या बोला मैंने इधर, जो हमारे standards हैं mandatory है from the date mentioned therein, and it is obligatory as well. अभी SAE स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग क्या होता है, स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन रिव्यू एंगेजमेंट क्या होता है. स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑन ऑडिटिंग जो है अप्लाई करता है इन द ऑडिट ऑफ हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन, जहाँ पे स्टैंडर्ड ऑफ रिव्यू एंगेजमेंट है अप्लाई करता है इन द रिव्यू ऑफ हिस्टोरिकल फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन. अभी ऑडिट और रिव्यू में फ़र्क क्या है. ऑडिट इज़ अ रीजनेबल अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट, रिव्यू इज़ अ लिमिटेड अश्योरेंस एंगेजमेंट. Objective of audit is to reduction in the assurance engagement risk to an acceptably low level in the circumstances of the engagement. Objective of review is reduction in the assurance engagement risk to a level that is acceptable in the circumstances of the engagement. What would be some of the examples of standards on audit? हमारा SA 200, 230, 315, 500 जो ऑडिट एविडेंस का बात करता है, रिवाइज्ड एसे 700 forming an opinion and reporting on the financial statements, right? So these are some of the examples. Next, examples of review engagement क्या होंगे? SRE 2400, 2410. 2400 revised engagements to review historical financial information, review of interim financial information performed by the independent auditor of the entity. Historical financial information, अच्छा ठीक है, वो हम पढ़ लेंगे. Next, standards on assurance engagement क्या होता है? Apply an assurance engagement dealing with a subject matter other than the historical financial information. Such assurance engagement do not include audit or review of the historical financial information. For example, an assurance engagement relating to the examination of prospective financial information, right? That comes under your standards on assurance engagement. In such type of assurance engagement, examination is not of a historical financial information. Examples क्या होंगे? 3400, 3420. 3400, that is the examination of prospective financial information, and 3420 assurance engagement to report on the compilation of the pro forma financial information included in a prospectus. Next, we will discuss about SRE, that is standards on related services. This standard apply in engagement to perform agreed upon procedures regarding the financial information. For example, an engagement to perform agreed upon procedures may require the auditor to perform certain procedures concerning individual items of financial data. That could be your accounts payable, receivable, purchases from related parties, and sales and profits of a segment of an entity, or a financial statement, say a balance sheet, or even a complete set of financial statements. Examples of standards on related services would be SRS 4400 and 4410. 4400 is about engagements to perform agreed upon procedures regarding financial information. 4410 is the compilation engagement, right? Next, what is the difference between historical financial information and the prospective financial information? Historical financial information expressed in financial terms in relation to a particular entity derived primarily from that entity's accounting system about economic events occurring in the past time periods, or also about economic conditions or circumstances at points of time in the past, right? और जो एसेज जो इशू किए करते हैं वो वाइड स्पेक्ट्रम ऑफ इश्यूज को कवर करता है, जैसे कि ओवरऑल ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, ऑडिट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, आइडेंटिफाइंग एंड असेसमेंट ऑफ रिस्क ऑफ मटेरियल मिस्ड, ऑडिट एविडेंस, सैम्पलिंग, गोइंग कंसर्न एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, राइट? व्हाट इज प्रोस्पेक्टिव फाइनेंशियल इन्फॉर्मेशन? Financial information is based on the assumptions about events that may occur in the future or possible actions by an entity. It can be in the form of a forecast or projection or a combination of both. Difference between them, तो पहले definition लिखोगे, फिर लिखोगे HFI is rooted in past events which have already occurred. PFI is related to your future events. Next, तो कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स भी इशू करते हैं, कुछ गाइडेंस नोट्स एंड स्टेटमेंट्स भी इशू करते हैं हमारे इंस्टीट्यूट. तो इंस्टीट्यूट हैज़ फ्रॉम टाइम टू टाइम इशूड गाइडेंस नोट्स एंड स्टेटमेंट्स ऑन नंबर ऑफ मैटर्स. स्टेटमेंट्स हैव बीन इशूड विद अ व्यू टू सिक्योरिंग कंप्लायंस बाय मेंबर्स. तो स्टेटमेंट को क्यों इशू किया जाता है? ताकि मेंबर्स सिक्योर करें कंप्लायंस को, विद अ व्यू टू सिक्योरिंग compliance by members on matters which in the opinion of the council are critical for the proper discharge of their functions. Statements therefore are mandatory. So statements have been issued with a view to securing compliance by members on the matters which in the opinion of the council are critical for the proper discharge of their functions. Statements are therefore mandatory. So accordingly, while discharging their assessed functions, it will be the duty of the members. So statements से related members की क्या duty है कि वो examine करे whether statements relating to accounting matters are complied with in the presentation of financial statements covered by their audit. अगर deviation है, in the event of any deviation from the statements, it will be their duty to make adequate disclosures in their audit reports so that the users of financial statements may be aware of such deviations. इंश्योर करेंगे दैट द स्टेटमेंट्स जो रिलेट करते हैं टू ऑडिटिंग मैटर्स, पहले था अकाउंटिंग मैटर्स, अभी है ऑडिटिंग मैटर्स, आर फॉलोड इन द ऑडिट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल इंफॉर्मेशन कवर्ड बाय देयर ऑडिट reports. If any reason a member who has not been able to perform an audit in accordance with such statements, his report should draw attention to the material departures therefrom. So I hope it is clear regarding statements, why statements are mandatory and what would be the duty of the auditor. Guidance note क्या होते हैं? Guidance notes are primarily designed to provide guidance to members on matters that may arise in the course of their professional work and on which they may rely in the course of their professional work and on which they may desire assistance in resolving issues which may pose difficulty. Guidance notes are recommendatory in nature. They are not mandatory. They are recommendatory in nature. A member should ordinarily follow recommendations in a गाइडेंस नोट. तो ऑर्डिनरली उनको फॉलो तो करना चाहिए रिकमेंडेशंस इन अ गाइडेंस नोट रिलेटिंग टू एन ऑडिटिंग मैटर, except where he is satisfied that in the circumstances of the case it may not necessary to do so. Similarly, while discharging his attest function, a member should examine whether the recommendations in the guidance note relating to an accounting matter have been followed or not. If the same has not been followed, the member should consider whether, keeping in view the circumstances of the case, the disclosure in his report is necessary. However, a few guidance notes, in case of which council has specifically stated, should be considered mandatory as members while discharging their artist function. तो वैसे तो recommendatory है, लेकिन कुछ cases में वो guidance note mandatory भी होते हैं. So this is all about your standard setting process, the role of IAASB, हमारे different types of standards, their roles, and about statements and guidance notes.